There's an element here where you kind of question, is this being oversold and overcomplicated and over verbalized to appear potentially more credible? Apparently ZoeUnlimited is going to teach us how to build apps today, and I'm going to tell you now, there are a few things that I said throughout this video I'm going to disagree with, and there are a few things that I said throughout this video I'm going to debunk, and I'm going to teach you how to actually simplify so many things that will actually help you build the apps you probably want to build, because not all information online is good information. But before we do that, a couple of things. Firstly, if at any point throughout this entire video you actually just like the video, I would appreciate it if you did click the button down below to subscribe to the channel, because it does mean a lot to me. TFNL clothing potentially goes live in a week today, but if you're on the mailing list, which is linked down in the description down below, you will get access to acquire said clothing 24 hours before it goes public, which is quite important because there's a chance, due to how limited stock is, the clothing may never actually go public. So I would strongly recommend getting on the mailing list, and you will receive a link 24 hours beforehand to acquire the good bits and bobs. But until then, we're going to talk about the video and we're going to talk about abs.
Even if you have rock solid abs, there is no guarantee that it will still exist or be as defined after a high sodium cheat day.
Yes, bloat is definitely something that can contribute to ab definition and all that good stuff, but sodium and salt in general is just heavily demonized, and honestly, salt is not the enemy. Everyone kind of portrayed it as, oh, you have loads of salt, you're going to die, you're going to have really horrible things happen to you, you're going to bloat like a blimp, and it's just going to be a mess. Probably not the case. Honestly, salt is not a bad thing. If you're training consistently and training hard, salt's actually more of a friend than it is an enemy. Just make sure you drink enough water. I regularly have about half a teaspoon, which is about 2 to 3 grams of salt pre-workout, every workout, just on its own. Shove it in my mouth, down it with some water, good to go. It may taste a bit rank, but it's a pretty good pre-workout, and it's pretty cheap as well.
There are 2 types of fat we need to look at when trying to get abs. The first type is subcutaneous, which is just underneath the skin, and the second is visceral fat, aka intra-abdominal fat that is beneath the abdominal wall.
I wouldn't overcomplicate different types of fat. Yes, there are different types of fat, absolutely valid, but is that relevant to what you're trying to achieve through building abs? Not entirely. When it comes to abdominal definition, it will largely come down to how lean are you. To get leaner, you are going to just have to reduce body fat. You're not going to be able to differentiate between whether you lose subcutaneous or visceral. You're just going to lose fat. And eventually, when you lose enough of it, you're going to get lean enough to see your abs. When you start going into detail like this, sure, it's useful and it's helpful, but is this relevant to your target audience? No. There's an element here where you kind of question, is this being oversold and overcomplicated and over verbalized to appear potentially more credible, or to potentially make it seem like there's more backing behind what's saying, when in reality, does the audience that Zoe is trying to appeal to here need to know this? And does this actually help them in what they want to achieve? The answer is probably no. So for that, it literally comes down to get leaner, you'll probably see your abs. Science is cool, I respect it, but barriers to entry can prevent people and actually deter people from doing what they want to do because they get intimidated. Don't intimidate people, just encourage them to get leaner if they want to see abs.
How to reduce fat? Although the cliche saying goes,
abs get made in the kitchen.
hence I'm in the kitchen.
Yes and no. What I would say is how to lose fat. I'm going to really simplify it, and honestly, just shockingly, try it and tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm not. Move more, eat less. Calorie deficit, maybe some additional steps in your day, and maybe even some direct ab work, which I'll cover later, should well be more than enough to help you achieve abdominal gains, if that's something you so wish.
And eating clean to get abs is not negotiable. Doesn't mean eating boiled chicken breast.
No, I'm gonna also disagree with this. So eating clean, I hate the term because it essentially labels foods as clean and dirty. I dislike that. Honestly, it's so subjective in definition. How do you define it? Someone's gonna come up to me saying, oh Harry, if a food's got high micronutrients, it's really clean. Honestly, says who? I'm gonna give some proof of concept here. When someone says to you, oh, I ate really bad food, I lost all my abs. No, it's not because of what you ate, it's because of how much you ate. Ultimately, if you eat in a surplus for long enough, you are going to gain body fat. Cool, might be helpful when building muscle, love it, but too much body fat means you're going to lose abdominal definition. What do you actually eat within that is not actually as important as you think. I'm not saying it's not important, it's just not as important. Ultimately, it is really calories in versus calories out. And someone's going to come to me saying, oh Harry, you can't expect to see abs if you eat McDonald's. I'll give you proof of concept. Back in the day when I was powerlifting, my diet was shocking. When I tell you shocking, it was abysmal. I was eating a tub of Ben & Jerry's with a litre of milk every single night. I was having McDonald's 5 days a week in addition to additional takeaways. I did not eat vegetables, I did not eat fruit. I would eat roast potatoes 3 times a day, chips the other 2 times, anything to basically get my 6,000 calories in. And at the end of that, even despite gaining a shed load of weight, because of my body fat levels, I still had visible abs. And if you look to my diet back then, which obviously was shocking, I was a lot younger, it was just not a good time, my health was appalling. Again, I was young, I was dumb, I didn't know better. I still had abs. Calories in versus calories out. And also potentially genetic as well, depending on where you store fat. That's another story. Very quickly, link down below, you know we've got to say it. We've got the link to work with myself on a one-to-one coaching basis where I can help you achieve your goals, whatever they are and wherever you may be in the world, because it's all online coaching. So you can apply for that down below in the description. You've also got the link to join the TFNL training teams where you can work out at home or at the gym following a program I've created for you and the team, and you can talk to me, you can talk to them, you can talk to all the good stuff, and you can make some pretty sick gains for less than $1 a day. Or you can download one of the TFNL workout guides, including the new nutrition guide, which tell you what to do, show you how to do it, and also tell you why you should be doing it too, which as always are linked down below in the description. So if any of those things tickle your pickle, have a gander down below and let me know your thoughts.
Make sure to eat enough protein, fiber, and try to avoid processed foods as much as you can.
Not incorrect, protein, fiber, yes, love to see it. Processed foods, obviously for health, love to see it, but after what I've just said, processed foods aren't going to be the reason why you don't have abs. Too much of anything may well be the reason you don't have abs.
Step 3, build muscles. Finally, beneath the fat, we get to the muscles, which is the true form of the abs.
This is the biggest mistake I see people make when it comes to training their abs, is they do not train their abs like any other muscle. They train their abs with bodyweight movements, high rep, loads of volume. They'll do 60 rep crunches 5 times a week, 10 sets of each. Some wild things. Your abs are like any other muscle and should be trained as such. As far as I'm aware, the abs, like when we look at abs, we look at them more like six-pack muscle, like more rectus abdominis, and they are one of the few muscles, if not potentially even the only muscle, I'm unsure on that has a maintenance volume of 0, which means if you do not train them, you will not lose muscle. They will just maintain existing muscle mass despite never being touched. That's pretty cool. What I would say, if you want to build your abs, which you probably do if you want to kind of make them a bit bigger, a bit more noticeable, especially maybe at slightly higher body fat percentages, and also maybe look a bit better when you are a bit leaner, train them like any other muscle group. 4+ sets per week, maybe train them twice a week, maybe 2 sets on a Monday, 2 sets on a Thursday, something along those lines. Crunch variations in which you're going through a relevant range of motion where you're reducing the distance between your sternum and your pelvis, or your pelvis and your sternum, getting a lot of spinal flexion, being that kind of rolling bendy of the spine, hence the crunch motion. With resistance, you're probably fine. 6 to 10 reps, heavy weight, 2 if not close to failure, progressive overload. Try and do more every week if you can. Another rep, a little bit more weight, whatever it may be, just like any other muscle group, you're probably going to be fine. Rope crunches on one day, fantastic. Maybe even a leg raise or a knee raise on the other day. Bloody fantastic. Does not need to be deep. Sufficient weight, relevant range of motion, sufficient intensity. You're probably laughing.
When it comes to at-home abs workouts, I noticed that if I just stick to one routine, my abs get used to them and don't get worked out as much anymore.
Disagree with that. Your muscles don't necessarily get used to things. Eventually it gets to the point where you will stop progressing. Doesn't mean you've got used to it. It just means that something needs to change. Change in volume, change in whatever it may be. Most exercise changes come down to 2 things. Number 1, novelty. You want to do something a bit fun and a bit different. I respect. Good for motivation. Number 2, your goals have changed. An effective movement is an effective movement, and it doesn't just stop being an effective movement because your body's used to it. I've run some of the same variations of movements, like a leg extension, for example, for literally years. Consistently, never stopped doing them for years. I'm still getting stronger at them, and my body isn't used to them. They're still effective, and my goals haven't changed in that regard. So they still need to be incorporated for me, and they're still relevant to what I want to achieve. One of the another biggest mistakes people make is they bounce from program to program to program. Unfortunately, good programming is often boring programming because effective things need to be done repetitively. Doing the same things for a very long time and getting really strong at them will help you in most of your goals. Building muscle, getting stronger, getting leaner, wherever it may be, getting strong at whatever movements you do, which will take a long time, will only benefit those goals. So don't bounce from ab program to ab program. Find effective movements, run them hard, get really strong at them, you're bloody flying. Pair that with moving more and eating less, so you're getting a bit leaner, a bit more active, and you're probably going to see some pretty good results. And if you don't see some results, then you are an anomaly and you may well be an X-Men. And that really is how to get abs simplified without overcomplicating it through science, because despite loving science, sometimes you don't need to know all the details. Sometimes you just need to know enough to see the results you want to see. But again, like with all my videos, this is just my opinion, and I'd love to hear your opinion in the comment section below. So let me know, what is your favorite ab movement and why? And yes, before people come for me, you can train your abs effectively at home. Crunches are bloody fantastic, and yes, you can add weight to them very easily. A band, a dumbbell, a plate, anything along those lines. I respect it. But until the next one, thank you for tolerating me. Thank you for tolerating my waffle about abs. And thank you for tolerating the video.